What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Division Three Diaries podcast here on YouTube, Instagram, now TikTok, as well as Spotify. Today, I'm joined by the lovely Bryana Saenz. Is that how you say it?
Yep.
Awesome. Current setter for Arcadia. So why don't you give yourself an introduction?
Yeah, hi, I'm Bree. I'm a setter from Arcadia University. I'm a rising sophomore. I'm from Garfield, New Jersey. I'm a health sciences major on the pre-PA track with a minor in scientific illustration.
Geez, I'm over here with my liberal arts major. Um, but obviously, as mentioned by both of us, you are at Arcadia. So I guess the first
Mhm.
kind of good question, if you want to call it that, is how did you choose Arcadia? What kind of led you to it? How did it like kind of stick out from maybe other options you had, or maybe it was just a school that you had always been connected to? Just how did you get to Arcadia?
Yeah, so my recruiting journey kind of started my freshman year. I started pretty early and started sending out a lot of emails for like every tournament I was going to. And I didn't come across Arcadia until midway through my junior year. I was on an app called Field Level, which is a recruiting site, and it gives me like updating recruiting needs. And I saw that this school needed a setter, and I really like Arcadia because it's a smaller D3 school. I don't really like big campuses, and Arcadia was a small enough campus for me, but enough people that I'd have connections when I do need a job. They had a really strong physician's assistant program that I was really interested in. And Coach Emily was just super great on my tour. Like she was willing to stick with the timeline that I really wanted for when I was deciding to commit, which stood out from other schools that I really wanted to wait until later into my senior year they wanted me to commit, but I wanted to be committed before that, and she really respected that. And seeing how she interacts with her players is really important to me. She's super respectful, really big on mental health, and like really focuses on that you're more of like you are a person before you are an athlete.
I mean, that's a beautiful mindset. I feel like every team needs at least one of those coaches on staff
Yeah.
to where you can kind of balance that. I've seen so many teams from high school club level where it's kind of just it's two coaches that have that same like hard driven mindset and they don't really take a step back. And I see how it affects people. But obviously you went in and you became the starting setter throughout the season. And you talk about, Coach Emily and how good she is as a person to person. So how did that conversation go, and kind of how did you feel? Like, how did that pressure feel at first when you did find out that you were going to be taking the reins as the starting setter as a freshman?
I was somewhat prepared because my coach from club had like mentioned to me that one of the setters previously that I was setting at Arcadia had gotten injured. So I expected a little bit of playing time, but I'm super grateful for the amount of playing time I got, and I had no idea I was going to be playing, let alone starting and playing in a 5-1. But it was really hard to adjust to a different offense than what I'm used to setting between my club team and Arcadia. But I think working with the middle, super one-on-one, like really putting in extra reps at practice, watching extra film to make sure like I can mesh with their offense as well as possible so that they don't feel like there's a huge jump in between me and the last setter.
Even like going in to just say maybe one or two games and running that system probably would be a lot of. I can't imagine like that feeling of both like, oh my god, I'm the starting setter, oh my god, I'm the starting setter. But obviously, like that comes with a lot of pressure, especially coming into more experienced hitters, more experienced players, and just kind of speak on like when you first stepped on the court for like a game. Like I'm not saying like a preseason tournament or a practice, but like your first like top like first game that actually counts towards your record, and how your teammates kind of like made you feel comfortable like on the court, because I feel like one thing that like some schools will lack is that leadership. Like say you have a freshman coming in and they don't know what they're doing. They're trying to adjust to the speed of the game. They're trying to adjust to the system, the hitters, what hitters might like certain balls. So how did your team kind of rally around you and help you in a way that made you feel safe if you were to mess up, say, a set?
Well, we had one senior captain. Her name's Nicole. She was super helpful on the court because she would like let me know like especially what she wanted particularly with her sets, which is I like really specific feedback, so that was really helpful. What also really helped a lot was our old setter Kelsey, who was injured at the time. During timeouts or set switches, she would tell me of like in that moment what she would run and what the team usually likes to run in that particular moment. So that helped me adjust a lot because I was able to really see from her eyes of like what usually goes down and how I could adjust to them.
I mean, I think that's one thing I really, really lacked in my playing, I guess, career was having that kind of mentorship in terms of someone who could pull me to the side that actually has experience with the position. So that's, I mean, that sounds that sounds very, very nice. Um, but kind of speaking more on the actual game aspect of specifically your game, you got to give yourself your flowers. You had an incredible first season all around. It's very rare to find like a freshman who comes in into any level of volleyball, whether it's high school, first year club, and just does everything well. Obviously, your statistics are there, but kind of looking back on your season, how do you think you did personally? Because I know a lot of players tend to be a little bit harsher on themselves and tend to want more. But can you confidently go back and say, wow, like I had a good freshman year. Like I can't beat that.
Yeah, I do think I had a lot of opportunities here and I do think I took advantage of it well. Obviously there were moments where I think I could have done more. I am one of the players that are pretty hard on themselves. Like I always expect more from myself because of the coaches that I've had in the past where they always expect more from me. But I also think that was what has made me a good player is always expecting more from myself, which pushes me further. But I do think I had a really good freshman season. I'm really proud of myself. My family is really proud of me, and I'm really excited for my sophomore year.
So kind of going off of that question, obviously when you have such a great season, you have amazing matches, you might have some lower matches, but then you have say the next match that really picks it up. You had close to what, 1,000 assists, over 50 aces, averaging over 2 digs a set. Like you can't ask for more. But what were like your some of your high points from your on-court game? Like whether it's a game where you were just like wow, or like a milestone you hit, say maybe when you hit like 500 assists on the year, just something that like made you feel like, oh my God, like I am a college volleyball setter. Because I feel like there's two aspects to that where it's like you're like, oh, I'm a college volleyball setter. And then you hit that like one goal that you had. It might have been a short-term goal, a long-term goal, and you're like, wow, I am a college volleyball setter. So like what was like one or two, maybe even three high points from the season where you were kind of like, wow, this is amazing.
I was really proud when I hit 500 assists, as was my mom. I didn't set in high school, I was a DS, so like knowing that like only my high school stats counted, not my club stats, so having like stats count and like be put towards your name and like having your name mentioned in like certain articles is like really important to my mom and like seeing like me accomplish these goals was really important for myself and her. I earned Night of the Week that Arcadia gives out, which made me and her really happy. I mean, it was really great to see. Like, I never expected to win one of those. And I think I played really well in my FDU game, and I think after that game, I was second in the MAC for assists, and end of the season, I ended third in the MAC conference with assists, and I'm really proud of that.
I mean, kind of speaking on your mom, I can't imagine how excited she's going to be when you do. Obviously, you will hit that 1,000 mark here soon, probably 2,000 by the end of your career. I can't imagine because my buddy hit 500 on his career and his phone got blown up by his parents. They were so excited and he's like, okay. But yeah, no, I definitely get that feeling. My family feels that with me and my sister. So, but like I just can't imagine the excitement that's going to be kind of brewing around. But kind of speaking on the idea of excitement, going into the season, what were some things that you were just really, really excited for? Whether it was like an opponent, like for example, I know a lot of people like with how tight the club scene is these days, like a lot of people know other people on other teams. Was there like a game you were like, wow, like I know someone on that team, I really want to beat them. It's just going to be a fun game. Or even like just some like small things that you might have looked forward to, like team bonding, like a Halloween practice, something along those lines.
I really looked forward to just like having my name called, like when they announced just the starting lineup, like it always feels really good to hear them like they would announce me like either like first or second and just having that like really like made me super prideful because it's like you're announcing my name or like having people like talk about my stats and like my accomplishments over like the Mac TV, like where they like commentate all the games. Like that was really fun to watch. I know my parents would drive to Arcadia, watch my game, and then go home and watch it on Mac TV to hear if they said anything about me. But like those were like small moments that I was really excited for. But I was all like, I know a lot of my club teammates play all college volleyball, so like seeing them just around and just like having a familiar face across the net, like that was always fun to see.
Be a different feeling seeing them cross the net rather than on the same side. But I kind of do have to like ask, how like was your name often mispronounced?
It was mispronounced quite often, yeah. I think I used to watch back like our Montclair video on YouTube, and they mispronounced my first name, my last name. Some guy pronounced it right a couple times, sometimes it wasn't pronounced right, and it was just always back and forth.
The announcer inconsistency is one of the funniest things
Yeah.
I can say about Division 3 volleyball. For example, like we had at Sage, we had four coaching staff members. Only three, most of the time it was just three of us announced. It was me, the assistant coach Thomas, and then the head coach Roz. And our grad assistant Adele kind of got left out. So every time she got announced, we would all like throw like a party. Um, but the other thing is like kind of like you were saying, like how they I think it's just really funny that like one announcer, a single announcer, will pronounce someone's name right half the time, and then the other half of the time they will pronounce it incorrectly. And it's like it's just really funny to me. But I mean, those kind of things is what the makes the game fun. And I'm sure you had tons of amazing memories with your teammates, coaches. But what was kind of one off the court experience that like you kind of like replay in your head all the time because it made you feel like more like part of the team, like whether it was something that like like off the court you were having dinner and someone said something and you replied and now everyone remembers you for that, just something that like made you want to continue to be with this team. Because I feel like once people are kind of iffy, in my opinion, or a lot of people are iffy in terms of, oh, do I really want to stay here long term? Is this something I can do for 4 years and maintain it? And then they have that one moment where it's just a revelation, like, wow, there's no way I'm leaving. This is my home for however long, even if I graduate college and I come back and work here. Like, what was that moment for you?
I would probably have to say one van ride. I think we were coming home from an away game and our assistant coach Luke put on like Justin Bieber on the radio. And like I'm a big Justin Bieber fan, so there's this one girl on our team named Hannah who's like super tough, and we were singing Justin Bieber like to her as if she was like at a concert, and like it just made the van ride super fun home. And then like we carried that joke on, and like I dressed up as Justin Bieber for Halloween. And then like we like continued it into the locker room, and like that was just really fun because like everyone was just in on the joke and it made everyone laugh.
I mean, those kind of things are amazing. I mean, Halloween practice is always top tier. We had all four coaches dress up as different players. So me and Thomas Miller, the assistant coach, we had to put on wig. It was we put on wigs. It was a blast. Um, but that was I had a kind of similar experience. So they at Sage would play Among Us. I mentioned this a lot before on every road trip. On the coach buses, they would just play Among Us, and it took them until like 2 weeks before playoffs to finally get me to play. And it was the worst decision I've ever made. I hate that game, but it was tons of fun. But I think, yeah, I feel like in my opinion, most of those best memories happen on those away games. Like you feel like you would think that everyone would be dead towards like going that far, or like even if it's like a 30-minute trip down the road. But I feel like every person I've spoken to has just kind of been like, yeah, no, the road trips were a ton of fun. I mean, like our road trips, we had a fruit roll up eating contest for some reason. So like I said, I feel like that's kind of a good time to make those memories. But kind of going away from like the fun in games, obviously like the on-court game is probably the center, going back to what we were talking about earlier, is the center of most people's interest. And one thing that I feel like when you do as a player in general, when you get to the college game after going through a season of college, is you start to become more self-aware of things you need to improve on, things you already know, like, oh, I don't have to focus on this as much. I should focus on this, like whether it's I should know I'm good on defense, I got to work on my serve. So it's just obviously you become more self-aware. It's a lot easier. Plus, you have more experienced coaches who are a lot more adapt to that speed of the game. So, like looking back on your season, what's one thing you would I would excuse me, I can't speak today. What's the one thing you think that at the beginning of the season you were like, I'm okay at this. Like I know I can get it done, but I want to become more consistent. And at the end of the season, you're like, wow, I might not be there yet, but I made a massive jump.
I would have to say it's not necessarily an like a certain skill in volleyball, but I would say it's more of like a personal thing I definitely improved on. I used to be really big on like I'm here for volleyball and like that's it. Like I need to focus on volleyball. And like I always just filled my time with that, but I think like being around all these athletes who are super big on mental health and having Arcadia be so big on like athlete mental health, I really like improved on thinking of myself as more of just if I could set the ball well. Like it's more of I think I just made a lot of progress with seeing myself more of an as a person than just an athlete and like this is the only thing I have to focus on in my life and I became like a better person because of it because I think I put a lot less pressure on myself now. Like after my talk to Coach Emily there, she's always like you're making like I always feel like I'm never making progress and like she always assures me that like I am doing well and I am putting in the work and like I should be proud of myself for that because not a lot of people do that.
And I feel like self-awareness on progression is one of the hardest things as a player. I'm still working on it. I know some of my friends who have been playing for 10 years are still working on it. So it's definitely a journey. But kind of going off of that, obviously you guys had a pretty decent season. Anytime you get double digit wins, I call it a good season, regardless of how many wins it is, how many losses you have. I think a good season is anything double digit wins plus. You can look back and say, okay, we did good. But what was a kind of a game that you went into very stressed, whether it was your first game or whatever? And regardless of the outcome, you came out after and were kind of like, what was I stressed about? That wasn't so bad. That's not something I should have been really stressed about. I had a good time. I played my game. Uh, Whether it was a win or a loss, it was kind of one of those games that was like, wow, I can step back and not be as stressed.
I would say probably our game against Montclair. It like felt really good to be back in North Jersey and like play some girls I've played against in club, and I felt like I got to see everyone that's been there throughout my career, like be in the stands. I saw like my old high school coaches, old club coaches, old teammates, my whole entire family, and like even parents of old teammates, and I felt like I just had like the biggest support system, and I was like, okay, like this isn't just about volleyball anymore. Like it's about who's here like to watch me play, who came all this way to watch me play. And like I feel like I had a good performance and like I was super stressed to go there and like see everyone and worried that like they wouldn't be as proud of like what I was doing on the court. But then afterwards, like they all just were so excited to see me and like I was like, okay, like this isn't that big a deal. I'm here for myself and for them.
And I mean, that game in general was probably one of the better games in the nation. Like I'm talking nationally. You had obviously you on the Arcadia side, and you had Cam Muss on the Montclair side. So you two being two of the biggest, I'd say, impact freshmen going head to head, it made for an amazing match. Like unfortunately, obviously, you guys lost in five, but that's
Mhm.
not anything to complain about. Montclair had an amazing season, but kind of transitioning into the next question, what was a win that you were like, even if it wasn't like, oh my God, I feel stressed before, I feel stressed after, kind of now that the semester's ended, your season ended, you're about to start your sophomore preseason soon in a couple months, that you're kind of looking back on and thinking, wow, like that was a turning point in my game. Like that was a turning point in my freshman career, that whether it was like a mental aspect, like, hey, maybe I only had 15 assists, but I felt amazing. Just one of those wins that kind of really helped you push over that initial speed bump of the mentality.
I felt really good about we had a try match at Newman and Rutgers and we won both. I think we played really well and we just scrapped a lot. We were super competitive and we just really got after it that day. Everything seemed to click, like our communication, our energy, and our execution. It was just all working in our favor that day, and I felt like it was a real team win where everyone contributed like their all, and it just felt really great to win both matches, and like you can really tell we put a lot of effort into both those games.
And kind of like obviously I haven't really gone through and looked at either of those games because I in terms of the Arcadia schedule, like you guys had a lot of really tight matches, whether it was a three set sweep. So I'll definitely have to go back and watch those, especially because like Newman also has such a good young core. So coming out on top of that one probably felt great. But obviously, you guys play in a really tough conference in the MAC Freedom. So explain, kind of describe like that transition from non-con to con, how the level of competition might have changed, how you felt going, like the pressure of going from non-con, because realistically, the non-con doesn't matter as much as some people who will just kind of watch casually might think. So what was that like pressure difference? Like what was the difference in play? Like how did your team feel? Well, how was the tension, whether it was good or bad tension, and like say an away game bus before a con game versus a non-con game? Just kind of compare the two.
I think we kind of go into every game the same. I don't think we consider conference games special compared to non-conference games. I mean, we always try to give it our best for every single match that we play. But obviously like the conference ones counts towards our postseason, so we do definitely I feel like we do might do extra scouting on them to make sure we're really locked in for that game and like making sure we can do everything we possibly can to make sure we get that win. I mean, we are in a super tough conference, so always it's always fun to play those games because they run a super fast offense. They're super great at scrapping. Like we always know more is expected of us in those games, so we try to put a little extra effort, but I would say we approach all games the same.
I mean, love that mindset. I feel like definitely I talk to people where it's like a lot more tension when they're going into a conference game, especially in the tougher conferences. Obviously, you guys have Stevens, you have Misericordia, who probably like the top two dogs, I'd say, as of now. But who knows with this next season? And kind of speaking on this next season, like what are you most anticipating? What are you most excited for your sophomore campaign? Whether it's like a plateau you think you're gonna hit, whether it's some freshman coming in that you're like, I want to work with these guys because these guys are gonna be an impact. Something that you can, or maybe it's like, hey, I've been working on this skill since the off season started. I cannot wait to, show this on the national stage type thing. So like what's one, even if it's more than one thing that you're kind of anticipating, excited for your sophomore campaign here in a couple months?
We actually are taking a trip down to Dallas for our opening weekend to play 4 games down there. I'm really excited for that. We did a lot of fundraising to, fund for the trip. And if I make my way back onto the court, I will be reaching my 1,000 assists there, which I'm really excited for. And my mom and dad are flying down. Hopefully that they can also see that happen. I am really excited to work with the new freshmen coming in. I think we only have hitters, so it's gonna be really great to run a new offense with them. Hopefully we have been planning on speeding up our offense a bit, and we've been practicing a lot of that in the off season, especially with our middles and outside. So I'm really excited to get after it with those people.
I mean, I feel like this freshman class, like this past freshman class was super strong. Like I feel like that was probably, from what I know, was probably one of the closest freshman of the year race for even the region for regional awards. It was the freshman level was insanely high, but I think this next year it's going to be even higher. The amount of, especially with the NIL stuff going on in Division One, people are now I've seen a lot of players now kind of scared to go up to that top level um, because it's becoming pay to win, unfortunately. So they're kind of like, you know what, we're gonna go D3. I'm gonna have a good time. I'm gonna go on the court and have a blast. So I think, in my opinion, this freshman class is going to be insanely good. Like it's gonna be fun to watch. Um, but obviously, like you mentioned, your parents flying out for to watch that moment of 1,000 assists that you will inevitably get. That's got to be an amazing feeling, especially having that support. And you've mentioned your mom quite a bit. Would you say she's like the biggest impact on your life, even beyond volleyball, academically, just in general, has she been your like biggest support kind of through the stress of first semester? Because obviously you go into college and not only do you have your first season, you have your first semester, which is often very difficult. Even if you get good grades, it's very difficult for a lot of people. So how is like even your parents in general, both of your parents, how have they kind of helped you and supported you through that?
Well, my parents are a big part of my life because they have never missed a single point of my career, and they've been to games that I don't even play in, and they still come to support me. We've had like they've been just been there for everything, like the super long car rides, the tournaments, the plane trips, like they've just been there through it all. So like having them always there at my games is super important to me, and like knowing I'm making them proud is super important. They've always pushed me to be the best version of myself I can be. Like my dad is always with the you're never satisfied like mentality. Like you can always do a little bit better than you did the day before. So like that definitely pushes me to be a better version of myself and a better player like every day.
I mean, the growth mindset is one as a person, not even just as athlete, is one of the hardest things, in my opinion, to maintain. It takes people years and years and years to fully understand what a growth mindset is. But kind of obviously your parents play a big impact on your life, but is there like someone else that you just, whether it's a pro athlete, even if it's not a volleyball player, that you just idolize for how they live their life, how their mentality is, or even if it's a volleyball player, like how their on court game is, like someone that you just look up to beyond your family. Because I feel like everyone looks up to their family in their own way based on how they grew up. But I feel like there's also everyone has their family, and then everyone has that idol. Because for me, it's like I really value my people person morals from my dad. Like that's where I got a lot of my social skills. He's a teacher, but then at the same time, I look towards the sport I play. And like Elena Scott is obviously a big person to look up to in terms of how I play my game. So I feel like there's two aspects of a person's like idolization in their world. So who's kind of like just even if it's not a volleyball player, just someone that you idolize that's beyond your fame.
One player that I really love watching is actually my friend Ariana Rodriguez. She plays for U Miami now and she's a setter. And she also plays for the Dominican Republic national team. And she was one of the youngest girls in the Olympics last summer. And it was really awesome to just watch her like play on TV and like I trained with her at my old club and I've trained under her father and like watching her has definitely helped me grow my game because I get to see what she does and get to translate it into how I can better myself playing as an athlete. So I really love watching her play and I really love her worth ethic.
I mean, that's got to be like a certain euphoria to watch someone that have so much success. Like whenever I watch my good friend August Rasty, whenever I watch her in the pro league here in America, it's like wow, like I know that person. It's a crazy feeling, and even going beyond that, it's like sometimes I'll watch like these Division 1 players, and I'm like, dang, like what am I doing with my life? Like I sometimes forget that they're not 40 years old and have been doing this for 20 years of their life. But I mean, I feel like that, especially watching a person that you're acquainted with, whether it's a friend, just a teammate, someone have that much success has got to be like a second euphoria. Um, but I guess for one final rounded out question, I don't remember. I repost schedules all the time, and I don't remember whose I've reposted, whose I haven't reposted. But I'm not sure if Arcadia has their schedule yet out. And if you can speak on it, is there an opponent kind of you're ready for? Like you're like, whether it's a team that like, oh, they beat us in five last year, like we're gonna get them this year, or just one that's like, I
Um,
know four people on that team. I want to beat them.
we are playing a new set of like non-conference matches this season, which is kind of upsetting because I did want to like go after also the people we didn't get to like beat last season, like Montclair, Lancaster Bible. Those were two five-set games that we played really well in, and like I want to go back and play them again. But next season we do have a different out of conference matches, which is upsetting. But I do think it's gonna be like a really well-rounded schedule.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys had an insanely difficult non-con schedule. And you didn't even do that bad, but I mean, like looking back at it, you guys played Gallaudet, Salisbury, William Patterson, three tournament teams right there. So I feel like, I mean, it'll be a different look, but 4 games to start the season is gonna should be a lot of fun. Cannot wait to watch you hit that 1,000 mark. Um, Obviously I'll have my own stuff to do, but I'm gonna do my best to watch all like I have a list of people who are a milestone watch that should hit it within the first 2 or 3 games. So my goal is to have like 4 screens in front of me at all times. Um, but thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for answering all these questions, especially about the mental game. I feel like some people are have a little bit more trouble, including me, talking about their mental game. So I do appreciate that. Any last words you want to say before we finish up?
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.